Well, hello. My name is Dr. Eric Hoytucker, and as you probably know by now, I'm putting together this vocal pedagogy book, but instead of writing it out formally, I'm putting it all online on YouTube. And after we've gone through the technical aspects of singing, I thought it might be really interesting to do some lessons, and at this stage, this really isn't a lesson, but with some of my former students who have had extraordinary careers. And certainly, this young man behind me, Nate Hackman, would certainly fall into that category of extraordinarily successful.
But maybe not young.
But not so much young. But that's okay, right? Apparently this is how this video is going to go. So Nate came to Northern Arizona University as a freshman. He hadn't had any voice lessons. It was a small, ugly voice when it came to me. And then we worked together for like 4 years out there, then went to Central Michigan University, and he also then finished a master's there. After 7 years of work together, he immediately went to the Merrill program out at San Francisco, and he's had an extraordinary career. He's done most all of it. He's done opera, he's done musical theater, he's done national tours. He's on Broadway currently right now in Back to the Future in a leading role. Just a wonderful singer. Tell me about the record that just came out.
I'm supposed to answer questions?
Yeah, we got to do this. I don't know all the answers.
So Chandos has put out, or is in the process of putting out, Oklahoma with the Symphony of London, and we also recorded Carousel last year. They're the first complete recordings ever released on disc of any kind, and there's all the things you can find with Chandos.
Right.
Yeah, it's every note that Richard Rodgers ever wrote.
Right, which is rare.
Yeah, it's the first time it's ever been done. So
right. In addition, Nate has been a soloist twice at the BBC Proms, one for On the Town and Oklahoma as well. He's sung Les Mis here on Broadway, and regional theaters, countless, really an extraordinary singer. Virginia Opera companies around. And so what I thought, the days of giving Nate Hackman a voice lesson are long gone, right? We took care of that over 7 years of hard work. Nate probably had a lesson most every day, don't you reckon?
Pretty much.
Lots of lessons. But
when I didn't have lessons, I was sitting on your other lessons above you.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, we talk about in the singing business, you gotta wanna. This gentleman wanna. That's why he's where he is. He wanted to learn everything he possibly could, not only about his voice, but about other voices. So what I thought might be interesting today, you're singing Biff, right?
Yeah.
He's singing Biff in Back to the Future.
I say Buzz all the time, but it's Biff.
I say Buzz all the time, but you got to realize I was around when that show originally was shown in the theater. Anyhow, so that has a lot of character aspects to it, but at heart is a completely beautiful bel canto singer. So today I thought it might be interesting, and I do really appreciate you taking some time to do this. Right? We're here in New York.
You're gonna pay me later, right? I take Venmo.
Yeah, take Venmo. So we broke hookers, which is another story. So anyhow, what we're going to do today is I want you to hear some of the stuff that he can do, and we're going to start with one of the arias that we used to work on, which is Cortigiani from Rigoletto by Verdi, and then we'll do a musical theater tune, and then end up with a Gershwin pop tune. Probably written in about the 1920s. But we're here in New York because it was the only way to get a hold of him, because he's busy and he's working. And after all, that's what we're going for. So let's begin here. Once again, most of the stuff, Nate has heard most of the stuff that I've said in these videos. Nate has learned that yard and verse over years of working together. Breathing and singing, of course, being one of those. He just got off the show last night. Probably got home about midnight?
Yeah.
Probably got home about midnight. Singer's life. Up early, hitting the gym, taking care of himself, whatever, then coming in and singing. So I appreciate his time. I don't say that to make any excuses, because after you hear the man sing, you're going to realize he needs no excuses. So, ladies and gentlemen, for your considerations, first we're going to start with Cortigiani. We're going to do like the first half of it because it gets really hard to play, and then I'm out. All right? Good?
Cortigiani, il razza dannata, per qual prezzo quelle segno belle. A nulla per loro sconviene, ma mia figlia inquadravi il coeso.
you know, one of the things that Nate does so well, it's a blessing and a curse. He can pretty much do it all. I don't say that. I don't say that just because I really dig it. I say it because it's true. Listen to that sound. It's quite wonderful. Now, I'm going to ask him to do something a little bit different. We decided to do Out There, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Out There from the Confession of Notre Dame. And you've
Notre
had,
Dame.
what is it?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. And you've had great success in this role, correct?
Yeah.
You've done this a good bit. All right, this we will do in its completion, because this one I can play. Those two very different genres.
Sure, well, I mean, I think there's a lot more variance potential in volume, especially in the Out There. But I think the production ought to be the same. I think the way the chords come together, the way the engine rolls, the way the setup is part of the breath, the breathing and singing, as we've talked about before, the navigation of the passaggio, all of those things is not vastly different. It's just a matter of stylistic choices. It's a matter of shapes of the instrument, as far as like what the horn does, the mouth and the embouchure and the tongue and all those things. That shifts, and you know, the use of straight tone and the use of variance in word painting. It's a lot more. There's a lot more that is acceptable in this particular genre, I think, than in the operatic literature, because you have to cut over an orchestra all the time when you're singing.
Yep. Plus, Well, you talk a little bit about that, Nate, while we're on the subject. Something you need to understand here is that Nate has been singing professionally, getting paid to sing for about 25 years. And I think probably, if I'm not mistaken, man, it was only during the time of the pandemic that you were not earning a living as a singer.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, this is not somebody who like waits tables and then goes in and tries to sing. I mean, he's been singing as a major performing artist for over 25 years. Talk a little bit, we talked about this at lunch before we came in here. Talk a little bit about the difference in the placement and the usage of microphones and amplification in the musical theater industry now versus 20 years ago.
Yeah, so, I mean, technology changes, skill sets change, styles change. And so, one of the things that I have noticed particularly is that when I started in this club, early on, when we worked together, I never had any amplification. Like in college, it was like floor mics if you're lucky. And in a lot of opera companies, it's the same sort of thing, sort of ambient microphones if you're lucky, right? And, you know, so microphones were not really an issue until I started working in the music theater world. And when I was beginning, obviously the mic boxes were bigger, the technology was older, like occasionally we'd get you know, a truck driver coming by and we'd pick up breaker 19 on our radio signals, but it was just a thick wire that sort of wrapped over your ear and then hooked right here and was taped. And it was probably 3 inches away from the corner of your mouth. Well, now it's Biff, and in many theaters that I've been before that, the mics are getting closer and closer and closer to your mouth. And I know that part of that is because the feedback you can get when you're putting vocals into the monitors for the singers, then that sound can loop back through. And so if they can turn the mic down, then the feedback is less. But what that also means is the proximity to the mic is such that you can't use the same range of volume and not get yourself into trouble with the sound engineers and with the sound system. I have spent a lot of my career getting notes on it's too broad, we can't pick you up when you're as soft as you are, and it's clipping the mic when you're at the top. So, whereas I used to be able to use, well, in opera, if this is my dynamic range, in opera I feel like this is the amount of usable dynamic range. It used to be in music theater.
For musical theater.
No, in opera.
Right.
When I'm up in front with no mic, it's the top 30-40% of singing. You got to sing the whole time because you're cutting over an orchestra. Even pianissimo, that moment is like there's 3% of the whole world that you can do that.
Yep. Agreed.
And even then, you have to fully engage and close the chords. But in music theater, early on, I was using just about the full range. And like I think for a pop tune with microphone techniques where I can control the distance of the mic from my mouth, if I'm doing concert work, then I have a lot more possibilities for the full range of dynamics. Now, when I'm on stage and the mic is fixed to my face and I can't control anything, I have no ability to use any microphone technique at all, then everything has to come down a level. So I'm using the bottom 50% of the vocal dynamic possibilities. And that, what I just did now, I'm not amplified, so I could use a bit more voice on the top, but, you know, missed it. What did the song?
That one.
I used to know this thing. I know what the pitch is. So that one was pretty full voice right there. I went, spend one day, which is pretty close to fourth day for me. I could maybe give you a bit more juice, but not helpfully.
That's almost operatic.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But if I'm on the mic, I'm not going to sing any louder than spend one. Not like that. Spend one day of there. It's going to be a bit more. It's got to be lower.
Now,
dynamic.
I obviously hear constriction.
Sure, of course.
The first was like, go sing,
Yeah.
and call it a day. When the
So
other is like,
let me wind into it then. Forgive me.
what do you want to do?
I have spent what? No. This is what happens when you're tired. I have spent one day of theirs. Where that needs to live, otherwise I'm clipping the mic.
Right. However, it would be easier for you to sing.
Oh yeah, it's easier just to sing, open up and sing. I mean, that's the top chunk of my voice.
So
I
what
can
we're
go
saying,
higher than that, but I don't.
so what we're saying is, due to the amplification process, it is difficult to always sing freely.
Correct.
You have to moderate that instrument in a way that fits in a smaller space rather than the 9-foot Steinway. Right? It can't be the whole tube.
So that's tricky, right? And you have to navigate that all the way through, and you have to make sure that you're not you're adding too much space through the place under the socket as well, because that's where it gets set up. Right? The reason that was blown out is because I've been setting it up that way instead of won't regret, won't despair, old and bent, I won't care, I'll have spent one day of it. Does it ever get any louder than that? And that's just sort of like middle voice. And maybe crescendo at the end, but I can't go there. That's not a possibility, right?
Which of course is Nate. That's that's free singing.
Yeah.
All right. One that I'd like to ask you to do here, completely different, is this wonderful Gershwin song, Our Love Is Here to Stay. And I want you to just take your time and indulge. Don't try to be impressive. Let's just have a good time.
Okay, but can we clip through the verse, because
You don't like the verse?
No, I love the verse, but I think you have to earn the chorus by going by.
So move it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll follow.
Yeah.
I don't have to play piano.
Yeah, a little self-indulgent sometimes, especially with Gershwin. It's beautiful. The more I read the papers, the less I comprehend the world and all its papers and how it all will end. Nothing seems to be permanent, lasting, but that isn't our affair. We've got something lasting permanent, I mean in the way. It's very clear. Our love is here to stay. Not for all you,
Love it, man.
Fun.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks. So, folks, yeah, I mean, once again, thanks for coming out here. I mean, it's like a little after 2. He's gonna grab something to eat, do some errands, and then run to the theater, and then sing a show tonight. The glamorous life, as it were, right? How many shows do you do a week?
8.
8 shows a week. Tell everybody, because everybody wants this career, right? Tell them about the other morning.
Yeah, so 2 days ago, we were lucky enough to get to be on Good Morning America. And, that thing airs like at 8 o'clock in the morning, but we had to do a rehearsal in space ahead of time for the cameras to see, so they could see what we were doing. So we had to show up at 5:15, and we did a full performance of both numbers that they were doing on that for the cameras, and then we went back and got into costume back at the theater, and then tripped our happy rear ends back to do the performance. And then we went back to the theater and sat for a little while, and then came back to do another performance for Good Morning America 3 or GMA 3 or whatever it is. And then went back to the theater for an hour, had lunch, and then did 2 shows. So we had a matinee, and then we had a short dinner break, and then an evening show, and then we all sort of fell in bed.
So, it is a wonderful profession, it's a wonderful career, but it is hard work. Which even goes more to the fact, I know you're all tired of hearing my saying this all the time, but singing can be as easy as you want to make it, or as difficult as you choose to make it. That is all your choice. Thanks very much, Nate. Thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in, folks, and we'll have some more singers as we trot some more out. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and God bless you.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.